line, tight end. I think basically they need everything. So is this just taking whoever's the best on the board right here? I mean, Tua's still lurking, but I kind of feel if they take Tua, then they have to, you know, they have to start him. I mean, I don't see them taking Tua here. I mean, where?
I'm thinking they got Epinesa, Gross Matos out of Penn State.
Yeah.
Maybe Rush the passer.
So you think they go pass rush here?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's go with AJ here because with Matos, I don't know. There's sometimes when I watch a player when I say damn, and other times when I'm like oh, and he's just an O player to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I got you.
All right, so let's put AJ in here, and now we're to the Browns. We had the Browns trade back to the 21st pick, and the Browns, they need O-line, D-line, linebacker, and safety. O-lineman, they could go Cleveland. Cleveland got a real high score on that Wonderlic, which everyone was blasting Tua about. Do you think they go O-line here, or do you think they maybe addressed the D-line, linebacker, or safety? Where do you think they go here?
I think with losing Schobert, I think that's how you say his name, sorry, and Kirksey, that they should address the linebacker position, and they technically still got the number 2 and 3 linebackers on the board between Kenneth Murray and Patrick Queen, so they get their pick. Which one they want.
Like, I think long-term Murray is going to be better, but I think short-term Queen will be better, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
I mean, so I would draft Murray, but I don't know.
I agree. I have Murray as my number 2 guy.
Uh-huh. So you want to go Murray, you want to go Queen here? Murray?
Let's go Murray.
All right.
Let's go Murray.
All right, so that brings us now to the Minnesota Vikings. Now, the Vikings, to me, they lost all their cornerbacks. They lost Diggs. They need to keep a wide receiver because Thielen is night and day lining up in the slot versus outside. And when he lines up outside, he just gets overwhelmed physical with the bigger cornerbacks. And now since Kubiak's taking over and calling the plays, they need to add some depth to the offensive line. I have them needing O-line, D-line, wide receiver, and cornerback. Where do you have the Vikings?
Vikings are one of those teams that don't have a lot of cap space. So I could see them either like being really good and really consistent like they always are this year, or just falling off a cliff. You know, I feel like it's either one of those two and like missing the playoffs again.
Okay.
As far as I have all the same needs. Wide receiver, they lost all their cornerbacks. They really need one. They also have pick 25. We should pay attention to that.
So I mean, they could hold off, and they could go pass rusher here because they need someone that can get to the cornerback. You think maybe?
So Gross Matos at 22?
Let's go Gross Matos right here.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so now we're to the Patriots. New era, New England, no more GOAT. They lost a lot in free agency. Like you said, they have basically zero cap room. The one interesting thing I found out, though, looking back at their past drafts, is Belichick is awful. I mean, just awful when drafting offensive players. I have their needs as quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, defensive lineman, offensive lineman, and safety.
Well, that's a lot.
That's what I have from them, man. Like I don't know, maybe it's just the Patriot hate coming out in me, but in our board right here, I mean, Tua and Jordan Love just fell in their lap. So, I mean, do you think they draft a replacement? You think they go someplace else?
I think I don't know how much they like Stidham.
I really don't think they like him that much if they brought in Hoyer, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know personally what to think about him. We haven't seen much of him since his Auburn days, and he looked decent his senior year, not like a franchise QB.
He looked decent at best. I mean, like, it wasn't like, I don't know, it wasn't, when I watched him play at Auburn, it wasn't like I was like, oh my God, he's a starter. You know?
Exactly.
I mean, I really like Jordan Love. I feel when he has the arm strength, he steps into his throws. There was a drop, obviously, with how much he turned the ball over and his focus from 2 years ago to last year. But I really feel like for Love to have a successful career, he needs to go to a place where he can learn from a good offensive coach, like a Josh McDaniels, and sit for a year. So I think they go Love or Tua with how our board is shaping up.
I'm thinking Tua, but
Okay.
because I know the Colts love Jordan Love.
Okay.
So I could see them trading up from their second round pick. They have like the 34th pick, like an early second round pick. And then they also have 44. So I could see them trading up to nab one of these quarterbacks, especially if the board turned out like this.
All right. So do you want to have the Patriots take a quarterback and then, or
let's have the Patriots take Tua, and then we'll just be on the lookout for like another trade opportunity.
All right. So we got Tua going here to the Patriots. Now up to 24 at the Saints. Now personally, I feel the Saints have the most complete roster in the NFL, and they're in a win now mode because at most they have Breeze for 2 more years. The interesting thing with them is Kamara is in his contract year, and I heard a rumor, now granted it was on Twitter, but that the Bills could be trading for Kamara.
Wow.
So I have the Saints need as a wide receiver because I feel they need someone to go on the opposite side of Thomas with Sanders playing in the slot. Cornerback, offensive lineman, linebacker, and then I think they should draft a running back later in the draft.
Yeah, I agree with that. They definitely need a wide receiver just to, like, I like that they got Sanders. They need a wide receiver because that offense is so limited by just having Michael Thomas. Like, not have a good receiver next to him, you know?
Yeah, and Sanders can't play the outside. He's another guy that just plays the slot and plays the inside. So, I mean, we got some wide receivers on the board still here.
But I like them taking Patrick Queen, you know, like the LSU to New Orleans connection, and they need a linebacker. I have that as their pick.
Okay, I like that pick too because, like I feel that linebacker is their biggest position of need. So, you know, let's go Queen here. All right, so now that brings us up back to the Vikings. So I kind of feel now you have to either get a cornerback or a wide receiver here. With it being such a deep draft for wide receivers, it kind of makes sense they draft a cornerback here.
Which one do you have or think they'll take?
I think they'll take Diggs. I'd love if they take Gladney though, but I think they'll take Diggs.
Yeah, the irony of them taking Diggs, I would love that.
Because Stefan's his brother. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
So let's.
But yeah, he's a talented guy. Like, it shouldn't just be lost in the name. But yeah, he's physical. He's long. He produced at Alabama. Yeah, he's a first round corner to me.
All right, so let's put Diggs there. I agree with that. And now this is the Dolphins. This makes sense. Do you want to have the Dolphins trade back with the Colts right here?
Yes.
Because they got their offensive lineman. They got Herbert. So, all right, so let's do this trade. So let's go Dolphins, trade to the Colts. Boom. Boom. All right, so we'll say they're going to send the 34th, and then I'll just put boom. All right. So now the Colts, you said the Colts love Jordan Love. Obviously, Phillip Rivers is only going to be there for 1 year. He can come in. He can learn under Frank Wright, who I think is a pretty good offensive coach. So this is pretty much a no-brainer trading up for Jordan Love.
Yeah, I think he'd fit in perfectly because that Colts front office, and they know how to run a team, and
Yeah.
surround a quarterback with good pieces. So,
All right, so let's put Jordan Love here, and now that brings us up to pick number 27, who are the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks lost Ziggy and Clowney, so that's going to hurt their pass rush. Wilson and the OC have said they wanted to pass the ball more and open up the playbook so they could add a wide receiver. I also think that something is up with one of their running backs. I think they're going to draft the running back because I think Carson and Penny aren't as healthy as the front office is letting on. So I have their needs as pass rusher, D-line, running back, wide receiver, and O-line.
Yeah, I have an O-line as a need. The Seahawks are a weird team because every year I feel like they pick towards the back of the first round, and they just take some random prospect that like is a fourth round grade.
Yeah,
but like they find production out of him, you know.
So I mean, are you saying like they take Josh Jones here, or I mean, like
I don't know who they're gonna take. Like they're one team that I'm not entirely sure what they're.
I mean,
where their heads at. You know?
I kind of feel like their biggest need is rushing the quarterback. But I mean, they can't stretch for Lewis or Braun here. That would just be like. But based on what you said, they could. All right. So they need an offensive lineman. I mean, you think they could go Cleveland here from Boise?
Yeah, I could see that.
All right, so let's take Cleveland from Boise here. Now we're to the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens had a great season last year. The stat that stuck out to me, though, is Lamar threw the ball to... No, excuse me. The tight ends had a 42% target share of the balls that Jackson threw, and they just don't have that wide receiver that will move the chain. Yada retiring is going to hurt the O-line, and them trading for Campbell and only giving up the fifth was basically highway robbery and a way worse trade than the Hopkins trade in my eyes. I have their needs as they need a wide receiver that can move the chains, an offensive lineman to replace Yada. I really feel like they really haven't replaced C.J. Mosley yet, and they need someone that can get to the quarterback. What are your thoughts on the Ravens?
I think regression is definitely coming, but I still like them to compete for the AFC.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I think they'll be benefited from like a lot of uncertainty in the rest of the division because you don't know what the Browns are going to be, you know?
Yeah.
Like we saw that last year. The Steelers, I like them, but Big Ben's coming off a major surgery. He's 38 years old. And then obviously the Bengals are going to get better from last year, but it's still a rookie quarterback. They still got a lot to figure out, and we don't know how good their head coach is, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I still like them as contenders or to challenge.
Yeah, oh yeah. I'm not saying like they won't. I just I just think like they need that wide receiver that can move the chains, and you really saw that in the game against the Titans. They really didn't have a playmaker on the outside.
Yeah, you can't. I don't know. You're not going to win a Super Bowl throwing to Willie Snead. I feel like
because all those guys are just guys that just go routes in my eyes. They just don't have that guy that can make a play.
So, do you want them taking like Denzel Mims out of Baylor, like a big jump ball receiver, very physical?
My thing
or would you rather them like Justin Jefferson, like a slot guy who can get open short?
My thing with Mims is I have two things with Mims. Is now I know he like had a broken bone in his hand, but he still dropped too many easy balls for me. He still had these drops and passes that he shouldn't drop. He's great at high pointing the ball because of his vertical. But also there was times like when he was jammed at the line with how physical he was having a tough time getting separation when he was jammed in press coverage.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, personally, I have Jefferson higher on my board because he is more reliable, and I think he can actually play a little outside in the league. So let's take Jefferson here.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so let's take Jefferson. Now we're up to the Titans. I'm really
This
low
is
on
my
this tight.
hometown team.